Hey, hello, food wishers. This is Chef John with a little shelter in place live chat. And if you'll excuse me, that glare is bothering me. So I'm going to go close the window. I'll be right back. Okay, that is nominally better. Anyway, how y'all doing? I just wanted to check in. As usual, there's no topic other than the topic of the day being made to stay at home, although I'm a big proponent in that. I know some people are crazy about the idea, but why not play it safe? I don't understand the people that want to rush back and start running around outside. Doesn't seem prudent, but I guess depending on where you are, you have to adjust based on the situation at hand. But here in San Francisco, we've been locked down for a couple weeks, I think. I lost track. It's a little interesting for Michelle and I since, we both work from home since forever. And generally, we're antisocial before it was cool. So it's not a huge adjustment for us. What is an adjustment is sort of the shopping and the going out running errands. But anyway, we're doing good. We're feeling good. Although I think I've had some little seasonal allergy thing. I think I have a little tree pollen thing every spring that has sort of gives me a little bit of a minor headache and a little tickle in the throat. But anyway, so if I bail at the end of this and start choking, it's probably just that, I hope. Knock on wood. Anyway, first things first. A lot of people are emailing me and sending me message that, Chef John, it's such a scary time, and I'm afraid for my health and my family, and also, how do I join and become a member? So for that, you just hit the join button. It's near every video, under every video, near every video, and if you want to join, I guess the biggest perk, you get to ask questions during live chats, if you consider that a perk. But anyway, all those of you that have joined and are joining and will join, sincere thank you. The support is, of course, greatly appreciated. And especially in these times that you guys would do that is very, very cool. And again, thank you so much for that. So first things first, thank you to all the members. And I really appreciate it. And then I just saw a great question as we're going to go through here. And mostly what this will be is just me answering random questions. And then sometimes the questions remind me of random funny stories, several of which are true. And so that's basically what happens during these chats in case you needed a warning. Oh, and by the way, no matter how many people watch this video, I will not be on Twitter later bragging about my ratings. All right? Very bad form in these times to do stuff like that. So don't worry about that. So the question I saw was from Candy, wanted to know how. I have no idea. That is probably something that's done in a laboratory. But what you can make is a sourdough starter using natural yeast in the air. All right, believe it or not, that last breath you just took in, you breathed in some natural. So if you go to our sourdough, our newest, because we have a really old one, go to our newest sourdough video, and it's a two-parter. The first part is how to make, basically make your own yeast, or a solution that has natural wild yeast, free-range yeast growing in it. It is super easy. It does take a week or so, give or take. But basically, it's usually a wheat dough or wheat flour and flour and water. You mix those things together, and the natural yeast that was already on the grains of flour or on the grains of wheat, and that are just, like I said, natural in the air, they will start growing, and it will start bubbling. And then you basically keep that going, and you can keep that going as long as you want. I mean, there's sourdough starters in certain bakeries that have been going for hundreds of years, or so they say. So anyway, that's how you make your own yeast. Go check out our sourdough video, and you'll know how to do that. Also, I'm seeing a couple of people mentioning they're going to have the Firehouse Chili tonight, fish hack, very well planned. I have been seeing amazing photos of the food you guys are cooking on Twitter. And I'm assuming Instagram. I'm horrible on social media. By the way, I don't do Facebook. If you've left me a message or a comment or a friend request on Facebook, I have not seen it. So hopefully it wasn't important. So please send me your messages other ways, like email and on Twitter. Instagram, I know I say this, I think every live chat, I should be much more active, but it's hard because I just work and then I don't feel like going on Instagram. But from what I hear, there's just a amazing volume of gorgeous pictures of the food you guys are cooking. And the Firehouse Chili has been one of the more popular dishes lately. And sticky buns. People seem to really like the sticky buns, which makes sense. Sweet, comforting, and a nice project to do when you're stuck in the house. So good job on all the recipes you guys are posting. And let's see, let's get some questions here. Answer, but I don't know how to answer it. The difference between evaporated milk and regular milk. Actually, they're saying vaporized milk. I'm assuming that's evaporated milk. Yeah, I think just the water is boiled out of it and it's like reduced and put in a can. I'm terrible at these things because I don't generally, as far as a chef goes, or someone that calls himself a chef, I don't do a ton of research into the products itself. I kind of like to have a little bit of mystery there, unless I need to know. So that stuff always you're better Googling than asking me the difference because I don't like to make up answers unless they're in the video just for entertainment purposes. So I'm not a technical kind of cook. I just like to let the food do what it do. And if I get confused, I can always look it up myself. All right, here we go. Let's get a nice, easy question, one that I know how to answer. How do you store your recipes and what categories do you use? Jim would like to know that. I have no recipe collection. I do not write recipes down. I've never written recipes down. I don't have a notebook. I don't have any kind of way to categorize them. They're just all recipes in my brain. Happily, for the last, 10 years now, all recipes through the corporate overlords categorize and they publish my recipes after we do a video for them. So if I do need to look something up, I'll just go on all recipes and type in the name and Chef John and it usually pops up. Or I just Google myself and the recipe comes up. And other people, unofficially have written recipes and posted them on their blogs and stuff. And then I'll just copy paste that. They have no idea. So anyway, I don't do written recipes. In fact, the whole not mission statement, but what I wanted the original channel to be was just me cooking food, giving you the ingredients, and then you would actually have to write your own recipe, take notes, kind of like culinary school. All right, the chef demos a recipe, you see the ingredients, you get an ingredient list, but then you have to sort of write it down in your own words, how it makes sense to you, how you would describe it. Maybe I would say it's, golden brown, but maybe to you that's brown. I don't know. But I wanted people to just watch the recipe. The video is the recipe, so you could rewind it, pause it, do whatever you want, until you had a recipe collection of your own. So long story short, I don't really categorize or record things other than the ingredient amounts and the temperature and time sometimes. And that's pretty much it. So maybe a disappointing answer, but that's my system. Again, less is more. Stephanie, whenever I bake something that involves yeast, I can always taste it. And the dough doesn't seem to rise like in your videos. I'm not sure what's happening there. First of all, you're definitely supposed to taste the yeast. That's, the flavor of bread is that fermented, yeasty deliciousness. Doesn't rise, that means you didn't let it rise long enough. There's no such thing as instructions on the package. All right. I know a lot of people say, let it rise for an hour and a half or until doubled. The until doubled is the important part. And maybe it takes you 3 hours, maybe 45 minutes. So never go by times when you're doing that kind of stuff. So I would say your temperature and the time. So, try to get it in somewhere warm, 75, 80 degrees. Sometimes if you put it in an oven with the light turned on, that's like a perfect proofing environment. My stove has a proofing feature, which I think keeps it at 75 degrees. But that's usually always it. you need to wait longer, and the wherever the spot you're rising your dough has to be a little warmer. All right, hello everybody, saying hello wherever you're from. Thank you very much. Lynn, I'm not the coolest, but thank you. Thank you for all the new members joining. Susan, Charlie, Chow. I shouldn't have started mentioning them because I missed like 30 people. Stephanie, nobody wants to hear me do a live chat where I just mention people joining. All right, here we go. Any recipes using Spam? I don't think I've ever done a Spam recipe. And if you read the ingredients, you probably could tell why. I generally, and not that I'm against all processed foods all the time. I've eaten a Slim Jim. That's fine. I don't feel bad. But if I'm going to use Spam, I probably could do that recipe with ham, which they sound so similar. So anyway, that's generally, if I ever start reaching for a can of Spam, I'm like, why am I not reaching for a can of ham instead of a can of Spam? Shouldn't I be using ham instead of Spam? Or should I use Spam? Maybe Spam's better than ham. I don't know. I've never been inclined to use it. Although every once in a while, I'll be watching one of those cooking shows where the guy in the convertible drives around. My good friend who I've never met, Guy Fieri. And did I say that right, Fieri? And he will every once in a while be in Hawaii, and there'll be some incredibly delicious looking thing with Spam. And I always think to myself, maybe I should use Spam. And then I don't. So that is Lynette. That's all you're going to get on Spam. Good song, though. Robert has a pavlova in the oven for the first time. Yay! Good luck, Robert. If you have not made a pavlova, people, make one of those. It's just egg whites and some sugar. Maybe one of the easiest desserts of all time. It's just a baked meringue that gets all crunchy on the outside. The inside is like marshmallow, and then you put some fresh fruit on it. And, he or you, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but I like to just put some fresh berries, and that's good. Let's see here. I love to write my recipes because I make the writing short. Yeah, see? Why settle for my long-winded written recipes? That's what they would be. You can just take your own notes. Nicole Correa is making caldo verde this week. Will frozen chopped kale work instead of fresh? Yes. Any frozen green will work instead of a fresh green in a soup. Every time, every way. Don't hesitate. And if you've not made caldo verde and you're stuck inside and you're looking for comfort foods, that is one of the all-time best choices. So it's a green soup, I think from Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. And it is comfort food at its finest, whether you put the sausage in or not. In fact, it's similar to the Hungarian potato and sausage soup that we just did that just blew up on Twitter. I retweeted at least 100 pictures for that. So both those soups should be made as much as you can. All right. Someone said I'd rather have a syllabub than pavlova. I'm not sure. I forget what that is. I'll have to Google that. Charlie bought one of those iPots, Instapots, but has only made oatmeal in it. Any opinions on using pressure cooker versus cooktop? I think I've answered this one in previous chats. I have a pressure cooker. Don't use it. If I bought an Instapot, I'm sure I would use it sometimes, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old to change how I make stews and things that you would use that for. So I don't, I have no problem with how you're using or how you're cooking that kind of stuff. It just, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me. I can't really explain why. But I know people swear by the Instapot. I'm sure if I just did an all Instapot channel, it would be, really popular. But I just can't get into it. Maybe I will change my mind once they outlaw, which I think eventually is coming down the line. I fear they're going to outlaw any kind of natural gas cooking type arrangements. Because of environmental reasons. In fact, I believe there's some areas now when you build a new house, it has to be all electric. And at that point, I will have to learn how to use air fryers and Instapots and solar cooking tents and that kind of thing. But maybe by then we'll all just eat pills like in that movie, and we won't need to cook. That would be horrible. All right, let's see. What do we got here? What is your brand of double serrated knife that you use in the video? I forget. I think it's Wusthof knife, which I was given in the spirit of full disclosure after a food blogger event in Portland. All right, give me a shout out if you were at that event. I think it was IFBC, but I don't remember. But anyway, Wusthof. That is I like all the top brand of knives. They're all really good. So as long as it's a high quality knife and one of the name brands, and the metal from the knife, from the blade, goes all the way to the back of the handle, that's what you want to look for. So anyway, I'm not a big recommender guy or tips guy, but that's one thing I do know. Make sure the blade, the metal of the blade, goes all the way through the handle and it just isn't stuck in there. Those are the cheap knives. Thank you, Robert. Thanks for being me. I appreciate it. All right, let me look for some specific questions that people actually would want to have answered. What's your favorite way to use marinated artichokes that isn't spinach artichoke dip? I'm sorry, that's the only recipe you can use canned artichokes in, unfortunately. No, actually, you can make a nice quick pasta with those. Just chop them up and just toss them in some olive oil, garlic, just like you're making our spaghetti aglio, and you put in the artichokes. It depends on the brand. Some are super fibrous, and I do not enjoy those. Some are very tender, and it's mostly the heart. Those are really good. So I think it depends on the brand. Also, you can skewer those and grill them, even though they're already pickled or marinated. I think they grill up really nice. I'm a fan of eggs and artichoke. So if you did like one of our shushaka type recipes, I think artichokes would be wonderful in that. So you can just, it's a vegetable. Whatever you do with vegetables, do with artichokes. It doesn't matter that they're canned and marinated. They will work. Brendan's been using our pourable pizza, but I find it's a little too thick to pipe through a bag. Do you recommend lowering the amount of flour? Sure. If it's too thick, add more liquid. Yeah, those recipes are tough because just give or take a quarter cup of flour, you can get a fairly significantly different thickness. So you have to adjust. That's just you cooking pourable pizza dough. So feel free to adjust as needed. Those are always good things to do. I think everyone thinks they are going to make bread. Yes, everyone thinks they are going to make bread. You should make bread. I can't pronounce her name because it's just a bunch of letters, but they'd rather eat chips and play video games. That sounds good. The last video game I played was, I forget. Oh, Solid Metal Gear Metal Solid, Gear Metal. I don't even know the name. Someone type it in so I know what I'm talking about. That was the last video game I ever played on a computer, which was probably, someone will tell me, that has to be at least like 10 years ago. 15 years ago. Jeremy, I made the sausage and cabbage soup and realized I had all the ingredients on hand. It was better than advertised. And it was advertised as pretty dang good. Yes. One thing I have a terrible habit of doing is exaggerating how incredibly awesome everything's going to be, except that's what I think. So I'm not doing it like for sales pitch. I just eat it and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. Man, I did a great job on that. And then I tell you in the video, hoping you'll make it. And then people are like, it was okay. But, cooking is subjective. I don't know how good things are going to be. So never hold me to it. Elisa wants to know, can I make a new video on slow roasted lamb shanks with garlic and rosemary? The original video is 13 years old. Wow, what a great question, because I did that a few weeks ago. I made what I was calling ancient lamb shanks because I saw a recipe or heard about one of the earliest recorded ever recipes was like lamb that was coated with, it was cooked with wine and garlic and rosemary and salt and some honey. And I'm like, I'm going to try that. Just like a primitive, like no techniques, just cook the shanks with that stuff. And I think wine. Anyway, it was like this ancient Roman recipe, and it came out and it was not that good. The lamb was fine. It was meat. But it didn't have any mirepoix. It wasn't braised. It was just kind of roasted as would have been done just near a fire back then. And I might post it as like one of my famous mistake videos where like, hey, check it out. This didn't really come out. But I haven't posted it yet. So I really wanted to do an updated lamb shank video. So maybe I'll post that for Easter, and you can adjust and make it better using some modern techniques. But that's your question just reminded me of that. James wants to know, how do I discover recipes for food wishes? Well, from you all, mostly. I get a ton of requests on Twitter and through email, and mostly underneath the videos when I read, even though I don't leave a lot of comments, I do read, hundreds of the comments once I post a video, and people will watch a video but say, oh, this looks great, but can you do this recipe instead? And that's usually how I come up with these ideas. And believe it or not, probably, I don't know, 25% of the time when someone requests something, especially if it's from something from where they're from that's not America, I actually have never heard of it. And then I look it up, and it's very exciting because that's how I learn stuff. So that's like the best, is when people ask for things I've never heard of, and then I discover like Queen Amman, and I end up making it and loving it, and it's very, very, very fun. Sarah, that's not true. I don't make that much. Okay. People take cuts. All right, what do we got here? How do you distinguish between Mediterranean and Mexican oregano in your recipes? I don't. Any port in a storm. So whatever oregano is sold in your store, in fact, I think the next time I'm in a store that sells two different kinds of oreganos will be the first time. Now I can go into the Mission in San Francisco to a Mexican Latin ingredient store and get Mexican oregano, of course. And then all the other supermarkets in San Francisco have the regular, I'm assuming is Mediterranean oregano. And I'm not going to pretend to describe the subtle flavor profile differences of the two. If you gave me a dish with either or, and I probably couldn't tell the difference, I'll be honest. So I don't necessarily distinguish, or I don't think you need to. I guess it's just traditional. If you're making a pasta sauce from Italy, or you're making a Greek, marinade for lamb, you'd use Mediterranean because that's what they used. And if you're making our pollo and crema or a la crema recently, if you could find Mexican oregano, throw that in. That just makes sense. What Christopher wants to know, what is a little known dish that you think more people need to be cooking regularly? That's a good idea. Did I mention this last time? I love a nice tuna fish spaghetti sauce, which some people think is weird. But if you just make your regular meat sauce, don't put any meat in it though, and then throw in a couple cans of tuna with the olive oil. And I think that on spaghetti, that is one of the greatest go-to, cheap, easy, fast meals of all time. So I think America should be eating more tuna spaghetti. Excuse me. Lacan wants to know, what would be your experience with making bread? Any tips? Yeah, we've done a million bread videos. Watch any and all of them. What you have to remember when you make bread is forget the measurements, forget the weights. Those will get you close, but you go by feel. If you're mixing it and it seems like, wow, this is way wetter than what his video looked like, add more flour. And in general, the wetter the dough you can get away with, especially if you're doing things like pizza, the better, all right? Annoying doughs are delicious doughs. Do not add a lot of flour so it's easy to work with. You will get dry, dense, not as lovely bread. So that's like the biggest tip for bread, I think. All right. Do you freeze dairy, milk, sour cream, eggs? No, you do not. Don't do that. You can freeze some cheeses, I think, but I'm not sure why you'd want to freeze like fresh dairy. I guess to preserve it is what you're asking about. Now, if someone knows if you can freeze milk, please chime in. I've never heard of such a thing. Not sure if that works or not. So I probably shouldn't answer if I don't know, but I just did. All right, green eggs. Someone wants pork. Oh, wait, your best baked beans was excellent with chili verde green salsa. Yes, that sounds really good. Chili verde is one of my favorite condiments of all time, which reminds me, people stop hoarding beans and rice and dry goods. All the stores I've been into the last week, the produce sections are stocked full. And the fresh foods are pretty stocked, the meats and chicken, when there's no produce, if and when. And it says my connection's unstable. Sorry. Can you still hear me? I heard this might be a rough chat because everyone's using the internet because everyone's home and no one's working. So if this is buffering, I apologize, but I can't do anything to fix that until I learn how to actually use an encoder and do real live chats like a pro, which might be a while. All right. People say there's no spam on the grocery shelves. That's fine. I'm okay. All right. Thanks, Holly. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks, Nelson. All the people joining. Very nice. Why is there so many spam comments? Is that I just heard there's none on the shelf. Did everyone just buy spam and now they're like, what am I supposed to do with that? Paul's planning on a simple beef, pork, lamb meatloaf this week. Should last me a few days. Well, Paul, if your simple meatloaf is beef, pork, and lamb, I would hate to see your complicated meatloaf because that's pretty extravagant. Having said that, mixing those meats sounds like a great idea. Have I ever done that? I need to make an all-meat, everything meat meatloaf at some point using every single meat I can find. How many meats are there in the grocery store? All right, chicken, turkey, lamb, pork, beef. Is that it? Veal? Probably shouldn't use that. I'll get lots of letters. Hey, Chef John, have you ever had sisig? Yes, I love sisig. Whoops, where'd it go? Sorry, here we go. The chat, the comments, the live chat comments are jumping around. I love Filipino food. I've done very little of it on the channel because like Thai food and certain other cuisines, I'm afraid to do it wrong and disappoint people. But sisig is one of my favorite foods. And yes, David, it is a great drunk food, although I haven't been drinking because we can't go to restaurants, and that's where I do all my drinking. So I need to do a sisig video. Thank you for reminding me. That is one of the best ideas I've heard all day. What's the best thing Donna Lamb could do with 2 bags of frozen blueberries that I somehow ordered by accident? All right, first of all, nobody orders blueberries by accident. What was going on there? Come on, Donna. But assuming you did order them by accident, I would cook them down into a nice jam and then make some homemade bread like we've all been talking about, and then spread the homemade jam on your bread. And then some of the blueberry jam you can actually use in a pan sauce. Speaking of lamb, when you cook a nice gamey meat and then you deglaze the pan, you know how we do when we make our pan sauces, a little bit of, wine or vinegar or broth, deglaze the pan, you throw in a tablespoon of the blueberry jam, or if you're out there and don't have blueberries, any fruit jam. That is one of my favorite sort of sweet and sour pan sauces of all time. All right, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of jam, deglaze the pan with the natural fond, the caramelization on the bottom, splash some water in until you can get a spoon in there and get something you can spoon over your meat. And that is a just incredible pan sauce. So that's what I would do. Thanks, Nina. People are liking the sisig idea. I do too. Stacy, you're welcome for retweeting your Food Wish pics. By the way, Food Wishers that are posting pics on Twitter, you must. It's required. You have to say what the recipe is. because I'll see this beautiful picture. I know what it is. And then people are frustrated and they're like, that looks great. What is it? Give me a link. So whenever you post a picture on Twitter, it is a new rule. Consider this part of your shelter in place guidelines. You have to add the name of the recipe. You don't have to put a link. That's your business. But at least put the name so people can follow along and make it themselves. Carla says she hates electric stoves and ovens. Hey, I do too. I don't know. I'm just not used to them. I'm sure they're fine if you have one and you're used to it. All the spatulas you see, Lynn, are silicone in my videos. Plastic is not a good idea because it's not heat proof and it melts. And then you're like, plasticky. So don't use plastic utensils if you can help it. Try to get silicone. Thank you for not showing how to cut an onion in every video. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, I used to do that, and then I'm like, people can watch videos on how to cut an onion. So let's just get to the recipe. What new rappers have been on your radar? The last new rapper that was on my radar was Jay-Z. So it's been a while. I don't enjoy, maybe I'm listening to the wrong stuff. Kendrick Lamar, I guess. That's not new either, I realize. But as soon as rappers started using auto-tune, I auto-tuned out because it hurts my ears and makes me want to listen to Gypsy Kings, which I hate. So I'm not up on the latest rappers. If there's some that don't use auto-tune and don't rap in a really high voice, I need a lower register on my rappers. I like it to sound a little grittier. By the way, whatever happened to DMX? Is DMX still alive? Anyway, if anyone has any rapper recommendations, because I could use some new, fresh references in the videos. My Biz Markie references are falling on deaf ears as people, as my audience gets younger. Can I do more Asian food in the future? Yeah, I probably could. It seems like, don't I do a lot? I think I do a lot of Asian food, or at least Asian-ish, or Asian-inspired. It's one of my favorite things to eat. But sure, I can try to do that. Plant-based content, Adrian wants to know. And I don't have a channel that I know that does that. Sorry, I should, but I don't. Plant-based content. I generally don't do things on purpose. So if it's plant-based, it's just because I thought that would be delicious and I made it. But I will try to think of more plant-based things. I would like for that Impossible Burger stuff to be cheaper and more readily available because I had some and I really loved it, surprisingly. I was very impressed. After a couple beers, I don't think I would have known it was not a burger, especially if you put enough, bacon and cheese on it. But anyway, thanks, Gwen. I would like to do more plant-based dishes using that. So scientists, get on that. Let's make that impossible meat more possible. Metal Gear Solid, thank you. That was it. That was the last video game I played, Metal Gear Solid. Full Metal Jacket, no, that's a movie. A disturbing movie, but a good movie. The iCloud wants to know, I have an issue when I try to make a pan sauce after pan searing my steak. After I deglaze the pan, the fond does not seem to dissolve into the liquid. It precipitates out. No, that's impossible because the stuff that's boiling out of the pan is water vapor. Everything stays in the pan. I don't know much about science, but I know that much. So I think you need to take a spoon and you need to sort of scrape the solids at the bottom of the pan while the mixture is simmering in the pan. If it evaporates before that happens, add some more liquid or turn the heat down. But I would like a video of you doing that, showing me what you mean, because I'm having trouble wrapping my fairly small brain around that. So please clarify. Thank you, Simon. The cool emoji is pretty cool. Where are we going here? Have you met Alton Brown in person? I just made his new peanut butter cookie recipe. I've not met Alton Brown. I would be willing to under the right circumstances. What are you doing with your free time? Do you have free time, Maureen? I have no free time, especially with the Kismet project, which is totally on hold right now. Bad timing for a pandemic, buying a new house and trying to spruce it up and create a studio kitchen type environment with, limited funds. And now it's very tough to do stuff. So that's why you members have not been seeing any new photos of the Kismet progress. There hasn't been a lot of progress. In fact, we're taking out a tub and doing a shower instead of a tub. And we're like mid tub shower when this all happens. So that's still in the works, but there will be movement soon, I hope. But anyway, getting back to your question, any free time is spent in the, even though all we have right now is garlic. But we did get all the fruit trees pruned, and the pears and the persimmon and the prunes. No, not prunes. Plums. Is that what turns into prunes? Yes. The plum trees are looking really good. All right. Other pine cream to decorate the tops and serving. Okay, people are giving recipes to each other. I love this. How to make the inside of patatas bravas soft and fluffy. Deep Sinha. Well, Deep, I think you're just maybe possibly overcooking them or undercooking them. All right, there's a sweet spot when you cook a fried potato in a pan. The outside's always going to get crusty and crunchy, theoretically, and delicious. But if you stop too soon, it doesn't reach the fluffy stage. It's still kind of a little bit waxy and firm. Do you ever go into like a breakfast place and they bring you this plate, eggs, bacon, omelet, whatever, and then you see the beautiful home fries, and you're so excited, and then you take the fork and you stick it in that first potato, and you can feel the resistance. And all of a sudden, the disappointment sets in, because that is just a crime against nature. Diners, when you reopen to customers, cook your potatoes all the way through. So I think you either are stopping too soon, and your potatoes have not fully cooked, and they're not fluffy like an underbaked baked potato, same thing. Or you went way too far, and the moisture is now evaporated through the surface of the potato, and the inside is just kind of starchy, but it doesn't have the moisture to give you that soft and fluffy texture. So what you got to do is taste them as you go along, like everything. And that will be how to avoid that situation. Please make lucumades. Lucumades? Did I say that right? Rima wants to know. I don't know what that is. I will Google that, but it sounds good. I like the name. Anything that sounds funny to say, I like to do a video for it, because I like to say funny things in the video. And again, I'm falling behind on the thank yous to all the people joining. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Oh, Elwin has an update on the 10 pounds of shallots from last weekend. I made your rigatoni genovese. Awesome. Reheated the next day with a splash of cream. Sacrilege? No, sacrilegious. I like that idea. Was even better. Great call. Yes, if you ever, this is a great tip for people. When and if you ever order 10 pounds of shallots accidentally, like this person did, a pasta sauce would be the way to use them up. Excuse me. Oh, Jim wants to know, speaking of dough and whatnot, how big about is your trampoline sheet? He's talking about my stainless steel table, work surface that you make doughs on. Yes, it is about, I'm looking at it right now. It is, I'm going to say 2 feet. There's a 2 foot. 2 feet by about 5-ish feet. It is big, and it is no support in the middle. So when you see me pounding things and pressing down, like when I pretend to pound meat there, I'm only pretending, because it has like a 2-inch give, and it's just brutal to watch on video and to work on. So what I do is I do a couple fake pounds on the camera, then I go over to my stone quartz countertop and I really pound it. So there's a little inside filming secrets of Food Wish Studios. But yeah, it's pretty big, and it's really not an ideal surface to work on. Although it looks good on camera, stainless steel looks pretty good for filming. But for some stuff, it's really annoying to work on because of the flex in it. Tim says you can freeze milk, but it's going to separate. And then you're drinking lumpy milk. I don't want to drink lumpy milk, so let's not try to avoid that if we can. Grape Tomato Girl. Whoop, where'd it go? Whoop. See, these things are really jumping. Is that because everyone's using the internet? All right, I got to go back up. Oh, here we go. Grape Tomato Girl, we made our baked rice and beans. By the way, if you haven't seen that video, make that. It came out really good. Shared the recipe with my older kiddos. They all loved it. My daughter-in-law made taco bowls with it. Love to hear it. Someone wants to know if I can dehydrate milk. I can't. Can you boil milk down in a pan? I guess. But then what? Then what are we going to do with boiled down milk? Bay is apologizing if this is a dumb question. Never apologize for dumb questions. All right, I'll be the judge of that. They're generally not ever dumb. I froze a bunch of ground meat without thinking to separate into portions. Do I have to defrost it all and cook it all once, or can it be defrosted? Or can I defrost it all and refreeze some? Yeah, you don't want to generally freeze meat, defrost it, refreeze it. It gets funky. Not good funky. Bad funky. Texture-wise, it won't be, poisonous, but I wouldn't suggest that. All right. Richard, hey, Chef John, we had the Popeyes Chick-fil-A hybrid fried chicken sandwich yesterday for dinner and today for breakfast. They were awesome. Thank you very much. Cheers to everyone who eats fried chicken sandwiches for breakfast. Those are the people I want to party with. Have I made pork chili verde? Yes. Check it out. Blueberry dumplings. People are still giving Donna some suggestions for blueberries. Is this a more common problem that I know about? People accidentally ordering massive amounts of shallots and blueberries online? If so, we have to get to the bottom of this. Give us an idea for a good movie, comedy to watch while we're stuck at home. Watch The Big Night. It's the best food movie ever. So just on that level, you have to watch it. It's also really funny and sad and inspiring, and will make you want to cook Italian food and also talk to your family and lots of things. So Big Night, I would say. Other comedies, I like them all. I can't think of one, of course, off the top of my head. But Caddyshack, that's always a classic. All right. People are talking about country music. I didn't see the beginning of that. So I'm going to just skip and pretend that didn't happen. Thanks, Enoch. Bacon and cheese on an Impossible Burger? Yeah, of course. What would be wrong with that? When I make, roast Brussels sprouts, sometimes I put bacon in them. Does that make it wrong? It's still vegetarian, except for the bacon. So I don't know about these technicalities. That dude. Hello, Chef John. What should I do with the carcass after making $1 million chicken? Well, you guys should do the same thing with every carcass every time you roast a chicken. You're not throwing those away, are you? Once you roast a chicken, take all the bones, all the scraps, all the fat, all that, the little tail piece, the Pope's nose, even the wingtips. Put it in a little saucepan, cover it with water, throw up some celery and onion and carrot if you got it, and simmer it and make yourself a little stock. I mean, that's what you have to do every time. In fact, I want to do a video one of these days. Thanks, East Coast Lots. Very, very appreciated. I want to do a video where I take one big chicken and we just make 3 quick meals. All right, we sear the breasts. We do a pan sauce with those. Then we'll braise the legs, and then we'll take the carcass and the random bits and assorted luscious tidbits, and we'll make a nice intense broth, and we'll make like a little pasta fazool type thing with that. So that would be, I think, something we should do soon. East Coast Slots recently found the channel. Question: the wife and I are needing new pots and pans, and was curious if cast iron is the best route to go. If so, what brand? Thanks again. I wouldn't, if you're just going to get a set of pots and pans, I wouldn't just get all cast iron. Cast iron has obvious, amazing uses, and there are like lots of resources on what to use cast iron for and not. There are probably better sources than me, but I like to have some of everything. Everyone should have a big cast iron skillet. You just have to have it. So I think maybe a medium cast iron skillet, and then the big one, like the camping size. But I would also do a regular set of stainless steel pots and pans. In fact, and it sounds funny because I have all the fancy brands also, but probably my workhorse pots and pans, stainless steel, that I think are just great quality, and I hope they're still available, because if they're not, people are going to be like, I can't buy those, is the Better Homes and Gardens brand pots and pans. I think it just goes by BHG is the label. And coincidentally, and I actually only found out this recently, I think my corporate overlords own that company. But that's not why I'm saying this. I don't really do plugs. But I just find they were very affordable, and they really hold up, and they perform just about the same. I'll say just about, if not the same, is like your All Clad and your, KitchenAid and all those kind of fancier stainless steel brands. So if you're looking for a good budget stainless steel pan set, I really am impressed with the Better Homes and Gardens. I've been using them for like 10 years. Excuse me. And above and beyond that, yes, also get a nice cast iron skillet and Dutch oven, and because you're going to use that too. And I've never found a huge difference in cast iron between the different brands. That's about as specific as I can get. But anyway, East Coast Slots, say that carefully. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard, Luke. Ever make homemade candy bars? I don't think so. We did like an energy bar that I guess you could consider a candy bar. Although homemade candy bars are a good idea. I have a theory that you could never be unhealthy if you had to make everything you ate as far as junk food. So, if you want French fries, you can have all you want as long as you make them. And you can have all the candy bars you want as long as you make them, because you just wouldn't make them all the time. Pop-Tarts. Eat all the Pop-Tarts you can keep down as long as you make them yourself, which I've never done that video. I tried once, and then squirted out the side. I got frustrated. So I have to revisit that. But anyway, the point is, I think homemade candy bars are not a bad idea. Especially, again, you read the label of a candy bar. It's a little frightening. All right, people are giving me Impossible Burger info that's impossible to read through now, but I will later. Super Duper Tuber Tube wanted to ask, and I'm assuming it's a joke question, will chicken soup work on COVID-19? Of course not. That's ridiculous. Chicken soup's not medicine, and it won't kill anything. Although, if you boil it, it would sterilize whatever. But don't be sterilizing things in chicken soup. Eat the chicken soup. Well, what it will do is make you feel less terrified, and it will fill you up and keep your strength up and your immune system hopefully working in a top-notch condition. So I guess in that way, using the term work on loosely, it would work on some of the auxiliary things. Blanco Boy has a surplus of lobsters. I'm glad to hear times are okay. Favorite preparation? Well, sorry to be boring. Probably just boil them up or steam them and eat them with butter, and that would be probably my favorite. We have a very I think, fine lobster mac and cheese that I would suggest you try if you haven't. I know Gordon Ramsay loves his lobster spaghetti and does it in every show he's ever done multiple times. I've never filmed that, so that would be maybe a future video, but you could do that. Use my tuna spaghetti recipe that I mentioned earlier and use lobster in it instead. How would you fry polenta? Well, Enrico, with 2 friends. How the 3 of you should do that is you make your polenta. And the very important thing with fried polenta, you have to make it like way ahead of time so it completely cools and gelatinizes, as it's called, and gets really solid. And then it has to be cut when it's ice cold and really solid. And then, if you want to dust it with a little bit of cornmeal, that's fine. You don't have to. And then you fry it in olive oil on fairly high, medium-high heat, or in a deep fryer, even better. And that's how you get really nice fried polenta. If you try to make it and just let it cool till it's firm and it's still like room temp or warm, it just doesn't fry up as well. So make it the night before, cut it up, the next day, fry it, and you will be polenta happy. Luke is separating duck fat and gelatin from my duck rillettes this morning. How long will these crocks keep in the fridge? Like forever. If they go bad, why were you eating duck rillettes so slowly? How did you do that? A proper duck rillette should be scarfed down in a matter of days or weeks. So it will keep for months and months and months and months. In fact, the real stuff way back when wasn't even refrigerated. It was just preserved in the fat. It was covered around the fat, so no oxygen could get to it. And apparently French soldiers would carry this kind of stuff and duck confit around in their satchels, and then they would fight and then eat duck confit with I assume beans. But anyway, it will keep for a really long time, like a really long time. But you should eat it before you even have to wonder about it. All right, here we go. Jim makes it once a year. That's not enough. Make it twice a year. Yes, Blanco Boy, Lobster Thermidor. Thank you. Someone just reminded me. That's a great one. Thanks, Leon. Whoops. The comments just jumped. I just missed like 30 comments. If I miss your comment, I apologize. It's not on purpose. A couple are, but you won't know who you were. Canicat, thanks for sharing recipes that actually work at home. Are people sharing recipes that don't work at home? That's weird. Why would people do that? But I appreciate it. When civilization gets back to normal, you mean if it gets back to normal, can you please make video for Supreme Pizza Cavatini? Sure, what is that? I don't know what that is. I'll have to Google it. Have I tried grating frozen butter? Yes, I've done that in many videos. Check it out, Brian. We've done that. Works great. Hey, Mr. Patterson. Although I always want to say your name, Pattison. Is it Pattison? There's no R in it, so it's Pattison. Anyway, hey there. I like your Giants hat. I know you. You need a shallot blueberry recipe to post this month. Yes, apparently I do. Paul plans on doing the deboned turkey, but he didn't get a chance to cook it for Thanksgiving. Yes, everyone, if you want to get your knife skills up to snuff, find our how to debone a whole turkey and do that with a turkey or a chicken, or if you really want to show off like a little game hen. And by the time you've deboned a few turkeys, you will have some pretty serious knife skills, at least with a little bony knife. Yes, Big Night is a great movie. It's free on Amazon Prime, so there you go. Everybody, that's your homework. Watch Big Night tonight or soon, and then send me your review on Twitter if you liked it or not. By the way, I'm at Food Wishes on Twitter. Are you not following me? You should follow me. By the way, we tweet more than about food, so if you're not into that, don't. Let's see. Oh, what's the difference between stock and broth? I like this question. because it's easy to answer. There's not really a difference. In culinary school, they taught us, or told us, that a stock is made with bones, roasted bones or non-roasted bones, and water and veggies. And a broth is made with bones and meat, scraps, and water and vegetables. So I guess that would be my answer. Although in the context of recipes, when something calls for, two cups of broth, 2 cups of chicken stock, they are completely and utterly interchangeable. And then don't even get me started on bone broth. That was a marketing thing. There's no difference between bone broth and broth. All broths are made with bone broth. My wife Michelle's bringing me more water because she just saw this. Thanks, honey. All right, so that's the bone. That's the calling things to increase sales. But don't think when you go buy a bone broth, it's any different than the other stuff. All right. Yes, Jim just answered the same question. Chef John, have you considered food pairings for meals rather than individual recipes? No, because it sounds complicated. I just like doing recipes. I don't know what to pair. I don't know what you like with what. Plus, I think you're trying to trick me into doing more videos, more recipes in a video than one, which I appreciate. Thanks, Alina. But I like to keep it, 7, 8, 9 minutes, one recipe. We can all wrap our heads around, and it's not too many things going on. Whenever I see the recipes on YouTube, 74 things to do with eggs. It's like, all right. But I can't do those, and I don't want to do those. Apparently the chat is down. We broke the internet, or at least YouTube. So there's no new questions coming in, which is fine because we only have like 2 minutes left, and my voice is about to go out. Talking for an hour nonstop is surprisingly strenuous. I have this fantasy where I one day want to do like a radio show where I just talk for 3 hours on some obscure radio station that then gets picked up nationally, which probably won't happen. But if you have a small radio station and you want to talk, have your people send my people some literature. Anyway, no one can type. Let's see here. Let me test this. Well, I got to say something. Anyway, I'm going to have to start wrapping it up here. I want to thank everyone, all the new members. Hello, Alina from UC Berkeley. I love Berkeley. We should do a meetup in Berkeley. I used to live in Berkeley for 9 months, almost a year. I love Berkeley. It's crazy. So many crazy people like me. So when all this blows over, let's do a Berkeley meet and greet. And you can all compliment me in person, which would be awesome. All right, I'm never going to be able to catch up with all the thank yous, but if you joined today, thank you so much. Like I said, especially with what's going on, very, very, very inspiring and impressive. And thank you, everyone, for chimed in with a question. I apologize to just regular members that aren't, or regular viewers that aren't members, just regular subscribers. I tried doing a couple chats where everybody could ask a question, but the thing here went up and down, scrolled up literally 100 miles an hour, and I couldn't even see one question. So now we just have it where members ask the questions, and they have to ask things they think you would ask anyway. So it should all work out. All right, anyway, I'm going to sign off. I'm going 3 seconds overtime, but that's fine. We'll do this in another couple weeks, unless I think we need to do it next week. We'll see. Play it by ear. I still don't have internet hooked up at Kismet, but once we do have the high-speed wireless up there, we'll start doing some live updates from there where I get to walk around and show you things while I talk. And eventually we're going to have to do the first recipe ever done in that kitchen, which I still have no idea what to do. And I really wish the chat was working, because my last question to the whole group was going to be, I'm supposed to be doing a cookbook soon, and I don't have any idea what to do. Should it just be my favorite recipes, a theme, like stories and recipes, or like the story of the channel and how we got to this place with recipes, or just my favorite dips? There's so many directions I could go, and I tried to start the proposal like 10 times already, and I just stare at the blank Word document, and I have no idea what direction to go. So again, the chat's not working, so no one can tell me. But maybe leave a comment under the video if you have an idea of what your ideal dream Chef John cookbook would include or should include or might include. And I will try to make that happen eventually one of these days. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening. And I hope you all are staying sane and safe and healthy. All right, don't forget to go outside and walk at a safe distance. Do not get stuck moping around the house. Moping is not going to help anyone. So when you're not cooking and you're not doing push-ups and sit-ups in your living room, get out there, get some oxygen, get some air, and as always, enjoy.